Well, not the way that Eugene Maltsev wanted to have that battle go down, as he's going to loop it again, and I think he just got turned coming out of the corner. So, well, welcome back to racing action from the Sebring International Raceway, as a huge slide for Eugene Maltsev. We'll see him spin around and slam into the barriers. And with that, I want to welcome Austin Edstrom into the broadcast booth. Hello, Austin.
Hey, Nolan, how's it going? Poor Gowan racing there. That's a tough break right at the 6 hour mark, losing their rear end. Kind of looks like me, flat butt. Yeah, it's just a terrible start here to the second half of the race, and then looping it again, losing even more time. I mean, it's really negligible at this point because you're gonna have to sit in pit road for so long just to get that back wing on. They'll be fortunate to get a caution out in the next couple of minutes, but I'd be willing to bet that won't be happening. But down the front straightaway, man, we've got, or sorry, down the back straightaway, we've just got
I wouldn't bet on a caution coming down here soon because we just had one. Oh, look out! Oh my gosh! Huge crash for HAC Racing, fires it down into pit road, and that is going to be a day ender for Christophe DeMay, who is down and out. That was your pole sitter that just wrecked big time in Sunset Bend. Good Lord.
Huge accident out of turn 17. I mean, just massive contact into the outside tire barrier. I can't wait to get a replay. I mean, that was just unbelievable, the contact to the outside.
And that was with
sending him all the way down into pit road.
That was Grizzly Motorsports, one of the drivers he was battling with. Holy cow.
Oh, and they're destroyed. Their entire front end is off of that race car.
Then backed it hard into the pit barrel, into the pit road there. Talk about a bad break. I mean, yikes. We'll get a couple of...
I got to think that if this was if this was in real life, I think that would be a red flag.
Well, look where he's at. He's blocking pit entry. That would absolutely be a red flag.
Yeah. Would have destroyed that tire barrier too, and that would be a well, they just proved it's a very, very dangerous spot. Now it'd give them a little bit more runoff room, so maybe it wouldn't have happened, but well, no, he turned it before they even got to the tires.
This is on board with Campbell and what he saw through this incident. He had no idea.
Poor Campbell is just crawling around the racetrack right now. Oh, yeah, that's just that's tough, but HAC Racing honestly just pushed him out a little bit too wide too early and paid the consequences. Unfortunate for both of them, especially for Grizzly Motorsports, Tyler Campbell behind the wheel. Really nothing you could really ask him to do anything different besides maybe get out of the throttle pedal, but I mean, are you really going to expect a race car driver to get out of the throttle side by side coming out of the last corner? I don't know. That was a tough break for Grizzly Motorsports.
And have we just got a drop from Anderson's performance? I think we may have, as Jason Burney has just dropped out. He was in the middle of a battle with World of Sim Racing and is now nowhere to be seen. I think Burney back. Nope, still not in. What? Austin, you Joel, this race. You're...
I'm the bringer of chaos. I bring destruction. I am mayhem. It's like the old Allstate commercials. You know, you.
I'm just waiting for you.
The dude in the college football. I guess you're Canadian, so you don't know. And most of the, I guess all the audience are foreign to the United States too. So actually, this reference will not. Nobody will understand.
Become Death, the destroyer of worlds. Just.
It's here.
The only thing we need now is to get rain.
You can make this happen.
The only thing we need now is to get rain.
A thing on our overlays.
20 minutes.
It's an hour and a half away. No. There's
really?
No. The forecast says 0% chance of that. I don't know. I mean, if iRacing is telling me 0, it's gotta be 0. I believe them. So our next chance of rain is in an hour and a half. So we got Mayhem City in an hour and a half, and it should stay raining for roughly 2 hours.
How far ahead can you see on the weather?
There's a 2-hour window of rain. I can see.
Okay, so you cannot see to the end of this race.
4 hours and 15 minutes.
Interesting.
No. And there is starting at 5:45, and we are currently at 4:55.
4:55.
Right. Are we at 4? Yeah. We're at 4:55. Sorry. So in an hour, we will be getting 13% chance of rain, and it goes up from there for an entire hour. So that in an hour, starting then, we're going to start seeing maybe some sprinkles, and it should pick up over the course of an hour and then start dwindling over the course of the next hour. But until 8:45, there's at least
Nicholas
a 5%
Peterson
chance
has just
at every single time slot.
gotten back into the race car after technical problems. See him, the Norwegian, put down and out. It's not been a good day. Well, I'm going to rephrase that. It's been a great day for that number 3 car so far. It's just unfortunate that misfortune now happens to knock at their door. But they're not giving in. Still a very long way to go as we check in on the battle for second here between Full Send Racing and Digital Chicane that are duking it out side by side.
I hate it for the MSP number 3, you know, coming off their Daytona 24 win a couple months ago. That was the last one I got to broadcast. I know we ran at Long Beach in between, but flashing it back to that, you know, them kind of coming here to the 3rd race of the season and having this issue here at the halfway point. You know, not having, if this was the Daytona 24, you'd have 18 hours to make it up and a bunch of cautions. But here, with half the race done, with the 6 hours done, it's kind of do or die at this point, and having to take that tow is just so massive for him. I don't know. Maybe we should be a little bit more lenient with the tows. Maybe if you lag out of a race, it should just put you right back in the pit road immediately, and we should call it quit. Only tow if you crash the car on the racetrack or something like that. But just kind of feel bad for him. Well, you know, hard done. Having to make a driver change at this point as well.
And this is the second race where it's all gone wrong for them in a row. Last week, when Jason Bernier and Nicholas Peterson again were racing at, well, not last week, last month when they were racing at Long Beach, they finished that race 5 laps down because of numerous incidents throughout the course of the race. So they have not had a very fun time of things as it's gone ever since Daytona. They came in on a huge high, and it's been slipping away ever since. This big battle for second has been getting closer and closer. Digital Chicane looking like they want to have a look at Full Send Racing here. They're not going to go for it, though, into turn 1. What do you think? Feel safe?
That's kind of what that looks like, right? I mean, and we didn't get to look at him down the back straightaway, but I don't think that they switched positions, and I didn't see a move going down into turn 17. So I feel like we're seeing Mitchell. Well, as soon as I say that, he does dive down to the inside of turn number 3, and then the quick flowing section 4-5 through the left-hander, and then down through the fast flat out section of 6. As you see a completely killed race car go on by.
Actually, how is that car going to end up with headlights come the night hours? They might have to be forced to pit just to get the headlights back on the car. There is actually.
Is there a GTP left on the racetrack that's okay?
Stop and Go Racing is.
That was an LMP2. That was an LMP2.
Train Paints is okay. World of Sim Racing. Yeah, there's quite a few that are still running just fine.
I'm going to give myself some slack on that one saying it was an LMP2 because the car's destroyed, so I couldn't tell. Entire front end. Yeah, for sure. It was Fisher Motorsport. So, yeah. I'm just shocked to see the entire GTP field is kind of shattered. I guess it makes a little bit sense, or a little bit of sense. I'm coming off of my notion of Daytona, right? That's a relatively wide racetrack. You've got some runoff. Yeah, the infield is relatively close, but even if you slide off, especially with the new grass, you've got plenty of time to slow down and not completely destroy your car into a wall. Here at Sebring, it's a little bit more close quarters. If you make a mistake, it seems like it bites you a little bit harder. I mean, heck, I was here for 5 minutes, and we've seen 3 GTPs taken out of this race just since we switched over to the midway point. So I just think that Sebring is a little bit more. It's not that it's more difficult of a racetrack. It's just more.
I think you're absolutely correct in that assessment. Right? I mean, it is a very unforgiving racetrack. It's super bumpy, and it does not like it when you overdrive it. A lot of the runoffs, it's very easy to underestimate just how much runoff you actually have as you see the Training Paints and Torque Freak cars exchanging positions. They are not in the same class, so it makes sense they're being a little bit more courteous with each other rather than trying to actually battle it out big time for those spots. But it's a bumpy racetrack, and it is a very challenging one. There's a big reason why a lot of drivers, when rain was announced, they went to Sebring first. It is one of the most unforgiving tracks on the iRacing service because of the nature of how this track is paved and laid out.
And I imagine just with it being so confined, like all the close quarters, I think that's lending to the closer racing as well. You know, just quick assumptions off of what I'm seeing in the first 10 minutes that I've been in the broadcast. Off of my previous experience with Daytona, you know, Daytona, I feel like it got spread out. And I feel like that probably had a little bit to do with the draft, just the super, super long straightaways that you've got that's cut off with that bus stop down the back straightaway. If you're not in the draft, you're just not getting close to anybody. But here, with there actually being, you know, corners after corner after corner after corner, I feel like it's a little bit more conducive to closer racing. We're seeing a lot of bold moves from a lot of guys in the early going. Still, I know I say early going, we're halfway through, but you know, we're still 5 hours and 50 minutes away from the end of this thing. But I don't know, I've seen many packs of cars, and I don't remember seeing that.
Milosh will hop into the car as Pierre Stockton jumps out. This is for the Rising Panda Racing LMP2, who pitted from the race lead in your LMP2 category. One of the other big reasons also why we have a lot of packs right now is because, of course, we did just come back from a restart of a safety car about 20 minutes ago, so that's another reason why everybody is so packed up line astern right now. We were racing for a good, you know, 4 or 5 hours. Well, not 5, but about 3 to 4 earlier on without any yellow flags. So it does get spread out if you can give it time to breathe. But these drivers don't like to give it time to breathe right now, as we can see from Digital Chicane trying to get up to full send racing.
Well, to your point earlier, I feel like there's, even though it doesn't have the long straightaways like Daytona, there's still decently long straightaways with the front straightaway and in between 16 and 17. So still opportunities to kind of duck behind somebody and fuel save, which I know we saw Digital Chicane make a move to the inside of full send racing just a couple laps ago, but I really do feel like they're relatively content with riding in the tire tracks of the second place driver at this point. We see a little bit of a stack up behind. I mean, there's a big group of cars just filing through at this point behind full send racing.
Yeah, big pack of cars trying to file their way through, and among those is the Go-In Racing number 18. And you got the 830 trying to work his way into the middle of that pack as well. So, whoa, look out as nearly running to the back of the 94 car. Coy Hasselo continues on with Quinn Mitchell still trying to run him down, and again, more cars almost getting into each other at the tail end, and I believe...
Oh, they're right in front of the race leader. Holy cow. Thomas Sorensen just had to get on the binder so quickly to avoid a spinning race car coming out of a corner. I don't even know what quite happened. I switched to him right in the moment.
We'll get a look.
Looking at Stevenson come back on the racetrack in the 296.
Woo, no kidding. So this is
scared me a little bit more from his rear chase.
Just
from his onboard, it didn't look too scary.
And off goes the Fusion Sim Sport machine. That was Mark Stevenson having it off, and he currently runs 12th in your GT field, 5 laps down and off the pace. That has stacked up the battle for the lead, though. Sorensen for stop and go, and then Jordan Erickson with Trading Paints are right now line astern in a whole heap of lap traffic, and I think they just got punted off. Oh. I know for sure the Trading Paints car did.
Oh, another accident right in front of the race leader as well. Sorensen getting through. Just Mitchell stuck sideways. He was in a battle for second, the GTM.
That was the initial incident. And then up the road, Corey Hasselo. This was the battle for second in GTM coming together.
Both of them sliding down the running order. Hasselo comes off better from it, but still loses a ton of time and drops down. I mean, not even, well, he only dropped a third. I thought he dropped a little bit further than that. I thought there was a couple more GTMs in there, but still lost a good 10 seconds to Santos, who's now picked up that second place position.
Austin, I have a question for you. why is your energy the way that it is?
Yes, sir.
We were having a nice, civilized race. Then you came in. And everything has happened.
I exude chaos. I brought the beer league energy with me from Wednesday, and I want to see as many crashes. It's just, you know, the road courses come along, and I don't know. I bring out the worst in people. And again, I've said this for weeks, maybe even months at this point. You give a European guy a car with fenders, and they beat and bang with it more than Americans do. And we get called out for the NASCAR stuff, man. If you put a European in a NASCAR car, they are going to run you off the road. These guys, they don't give you any room. I'm telling you. And look, they're professional about it. They're really, really good. But it does come to blows from time to time with just how little space is given. And it leads to really great racing a lot. But man, I'm telling you, it's gonna come to a point. It's gonna come to a head at some point. You know, you're gonna have a little bit of contact. You're gonna have a crash. Now, I didn't expect to see big crash after big crash after big crash, and then stuff right in front of the leader back to back to back. But I'm here for it. I'm enjoying it. I love the drama.
Romaninski may have just gone out wide because we cut to a camera and I heard a motor really loud in my ear. Oh, he's just spun off again.
Man.
So he just spun off again. Dang, the performance has just gone off the track. And where in the world is Dangler go? Okay, there they are. What is?
They're spinning in the background, and then he's spinning in the foreground after they disappear out of the camera shot.
We'll start with Romaninski. Contact with an LMP2. Hard into the wall. Oh, no! That would have gone straight into the grandstand, well, into the crowds. If that,
there's not a wall there.
There wasn't an invisible barrier there. That's on the access.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for him. It should have taken out somebody else's shins instead of his front bumper.
Why did you have to say it like
unfortunately, he's going to have to fix the damage.
He should have taken out someone's shins.
Well, because the guy was standing there and it would have taken out his shins. Here, look, if you look at it back, there was a guy right in the path
shins.
and it would have just taken out his shins. He would have been in a wheelchair and he would have been fine, and he would have been able to drive that race car back to pit road and get a little bit of damage done to the hood fixed. It would have been good.
And I believe... Nope, that was everything. Okay, so that was... Holy cow.
Oh, but no, it probably devolves into chaos whenever I get here because I bring that energy, right? You know, I was talking about putting a guy in a daggone wheelchair going home from a racetrack because I would rather that NPC suffer than the front bumper suffer. Come on.
Remind me to never play
it exudes chaos, does it not?
There you go.
Well, I don't have any interest, so don't worry about it. I don't know the first thing about it. I like race cars going around in circles. That's about it.
World of Sim Racing and, well, two Fisher Motorsports cars sandwiching World of Sim Racing in a battle for the lead of your GT Pro category. 0.3 of a second separating them. As it's a battle that ebbs and flows. We saw GT Pro was really big earlier in the race. It hasn't been so much in the last couple hours or so. It looks like it may be closing back in again, though.
Yeah, I mean, a tight battle between the top three right here. Fisher, World of Sim Racing, and then the second Fisher Motorsport entry in the 84, the 44 and 84, both tucked in this three-car battle for the race lead of the GT Pro category. All looking pretty sporty. They all look pretty good. I've seen a little bit of getting a little bit of battle out of all of them. Kind of separating here through this sector of the racetrack, coming into the final sector. But through the middle, they were all really tucked in nice and neat within just a couple of tenths of a second. Here, just separating a little bit, but I expect it to continue accordioning as the draft comes into play down the back straightaway here. Looking at Soul trying to catch up to Pereira, trying to catch up to Meplin. LMP2 coming through. giving a little bit of trouble to the second place of Pereira there. Soul not really able to capitalize. He got through a little bit cleaner, but wasn't able to make a move for second on the 151. Veplen just kind of able to stretch that gap out a little bit. I believe the LMP2 getting by him down the straightaway, making it a little bit easier for him getting into the corner. Didn't lose any time compared to his rivals in second and third. Oh, man.
That was Joshua Wolf that went
Just
off the
big
racetrack
spin
at Big Bend. So he'll tag into the wall and he'll get along his way. Julia Cervone has just been to as well in the Trading Paints Racing GT Am car. Again, just a lazy spin in the same corner. Spins it up and around and backs it off into the grass and then gets it back rolling. Good job. And here's the fight for second in GTP.
Little sim racing team getting around Trading Paints Racing Black. I'm actually kind of surprised with that because Trading Paints Racing was challenging our race leader not too long ago. They went a little wide in one of the corners and lost a bit of time, but I didn't expect them to lose pace as well as Ericsson has just kind of fallen off a cliff the last couple laps.
Ericsson has been on a pretty big drop-off as of late, and it's a bit surprising to see that they have not been up there fighting for the top spots a bit more. Both these cars have been dropping back from Thomas Sorensen, but it could just be a matter of trying to preserve their equipment for later on in the race. There is still a long way to go. 5 hours and 40 minutes we're talking about, so it's not like there's a minimal amount of distance to go. Just a bit, so we'll see how that battle will pick up again as the Tri-State Racing leaders are into pit road. I tell you what, these Tri-State Racing guys are really hoping for big things. They are hoping to be title contenders in, if not one, but both of their cars by season's end. They come over from the ACC scene, and they have been really making a lot of splashes, I think, in VSCA here this season so far.
Well, looking really good with the 123 entry currently. Obviously leading the race coming down pit road in the LMP2 category. Unfortunately, their sister car is running a lap behind the pace at this point to them. Actually, not quite a lap. Under pit road, I believe that they might have unlapped themselves, but before the pit stop, I might have to take a look at that. It was 321 in 6th place. I don't know if they were behind beforehand, but either way, both the Tri-State Racing cars put themselves at least in position to where they can challenge here late, right? They're in the top half of the LMP2 category. You never know whenever those cautions could come out. You can get a wave around to put yourself in a position to challenge for a podium at the end of this thing. So as long as the 321 stays out there and stays clean, especially lately, man. I don't know what's going on with the attrition, why the levels have risen so highly ever since the 6 hour mark, but there's just been a lot of spins ever since we've taken that halfway break. Nolan, the first half, were there a lot of at least like solo car or 2 car spins where there's like minimal damage?
It was pretty neat,
or was it pretty neat and clean until I got in here?
They were, in fact, we were hard pressed to even find cases of a lot of cars going off track.
I was thinking maybe there'd at least be some. What in the world is going on then? That's just, well, it is what it is. I'll take it. I gotta, and I hate this because I want the chaos to come. I want it to be here. The weather odds, I believe, are lowering a little bit. Unless I'm stupid and they can't do that, but I'm pretty sure one of the main one has gone from 51 to 41% chance at 7 o'clock. So I think that it's gone down.
Well, the weather can get wild.
Go down. I'm a
little
nervous that I'm just dumb.
What happens as the fight for second picks up on the racetrack? World of Sim Racing and Fisher Motorsports still going nose to tail, and still no move being made from Nicholas Soul to get around Marco Pereira. That BMW was originally just around the top 5 and has since bounced back up to the podium with help from this latest caution, and has been proving that they have the pace to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, they're holding on to that second place spot, I mean, pretty handedly. The 84 of Soul has consistently been about 3 to 7 tenths of a second behind them this entire run here, right? I mean, they've been consistently the second best car. Meplin has kind of checked out from the rest of these guys, but Herrera's been right there, just a couple tenths of a second off of Meplin over the course of the last couple laps, allowing the 44 to get away, but he's holding off the 84 really well. The 84 has not even had an opportunity to get to his inside here recently, so got to say Pereira's doing a pretty good job in that 151.
And then, of course, you have the Fisher Motorsports GTP that's directly behind him as well. That's going to manage to find his way through for the Porsche 963. So I'm still curious to see what is going to happen to this car when it makes its way down into the night hours, right? Because the sun is going to set before this race is over. That is a guarantee. You can't race when you don't have headlights, though. So is it going to give him a meatball when it gets dark enough, or what's going to happen here?
I doubt that's coded into the game. I doubt it. It would have given them that immediately, whenever the headlights got knocked off, right? Until you got the headlights put back on.
Well, so
there's no way whenever it turns dark,
no reference markers in the dark.
Give them a meatball.
You can't see. How can you race?
Probably, honestly. It'll be tough, but look, it's a simulator, but at the end of the day, it's a video game. And I think we're going to see some video gaming tonight with the 4 whenever night comes. Well, to be fair, with the cloud cover and the potential for rain, we're probably going to get nightfall a little bit earlier. And I can now confirm that the percentage change does actually happen. So the peak of the rain chance has now gone up to 52%, and everything around it has gone up as well. So it's looking more and more likely that we get rain at some point in the evening. Looking about an hour and a half away from that point.
They were talking about they were keeping a very close eye on the radar because it was fluctuating so much up and down with what was going to happen. And to be fair, that's kind of what weather's like in the real world, right? I mean, it's very difficult to predict, like, down to the second, the exact wind patterns and rainfall and everything like that. You can only make rough estimates. So it's kind of like what's happening here as well. Like, it's not coded in for it's going to rain at this specific time. It is they gave it the parameters, they put it on dynamic, and they just let it run. And that's what we're seeing right now take hold with everybody else in this field, trying to see if they can outlast to the end of the race. And I'm curious, if we get rain at night, oh boy.
Being a big... Yeah, it's going to be insane. And look, being a big NASCAR fan, I have had a million talks with people about rain and why the heck in 2024 do we not have better weather tracking systems or prediction systems. But man, it's just really that unpredictable. Like, and you just really do not know. And from what I'm looking at it right now on iRacing, looks like they've coded it in to be just as unpredictable as real life, because I seriously have no idea when we're going to see any form of weather. All I know and all I can tell you is that the first
going back
chance
to,
is in 30 minutes.
Going back to a little anecdote that I mentioned earlier on stream, a race at the track is, oh boy, Denicio for GSC Racing Esports, fresh into the car out of the pit, as, oh boy, has he just crashed? He has not, but he went in way hot. I'll get back to that in a minute as Denicio. He exited stage left, we cut to the new camera, and he wasn't on camera anymore, and I got really scared for a minute. So we'll take a look as just gets it a bit hot. Yeah, good cutback there from Orlando Campos.
Way out to the marbles.
Esports machine to get back in there. But again, we went at my local track from having blue skies to enough rain to soak the track and cancel our whole race day to blue skies in the span of 50 minutes. The weather is just crazy like that, especially in states like Florida.
It's insane. It's so insane. Yeah, I've been at a race in Talladega where we were sitting in the grandstand and we were looking at the weather radar and looking behind us, and it was just a wall of dark rain clouds, and the radar was just a wall of red and yellow. And about 10 miles from the racetrack, it just split, and half of it went south and half of it went north and missed the entire racetrack. I don't understand. I don't know what makes weather act the way it does. I don't know if the race going on had anything to do with it. You know, there's a running joke about the vortex theory with the NASCAR races. I don't know if the vortex theory is real and the heat from the race cars scares away the rain once you get them going, but
weather does what weather will do. It's the one force you can always plan for, but it will always find a way to ruin your plans anyway. So never underestimate Mother Nature. It will.
And it's probably going to get some plans here later today. I'm telling you. If you think the chaos kicked off whenever I got here, just wait until Mother Nature.
Well, to be fair,
I
you
mean,
could
holy
bring Mother
cow.
Nature as well.
She's got something on top of me.
The rest of us haven't had any luck with that so far all night.
Yeah, but I'm here for a course of 6 hours. That's kind of, you're kind of giving me half the race to bring it.
I've been here for half the race already.
That's a little much, right? If I was only here for an hour and it came for an hour, then that would be, or if it came in during that hour, that would make sense. But I'm here for half the race, so it gives it too much time for it to happen.
On the Cadillac there, because I saw some I saw some smoke
I should be
fly
the
from a wounded race car, and then it just kind of abruptly stopped.
I feel like I should be the alternate to Mother Nature. You know, Mother Nature brings chaos, right? I can be like the opposite of that, but for racing chaos, because I came into the broadcast booth and it got all chaotic and messy. So I'm
Eugene Maltsev has
Chaos.
had another little spin, and so has one of the GT AMP cars as well. This is first what happened to the Going Racing machine for the number 18. Getting into the hairpin, a big check up, and holy cow. I mean, that's just unfortunate timing. And then this was the Ferrari that he hit. Oh, that hit broke the suspension on the car. Oh, yeah. No way you're making that back to the pits.
Well, that thing's destroyed.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
I mean,
Stop it,
oh,
Tony.
my word.
You're not driving it back. Oh, yeah. That was a really smart call.
Right behind him,
I know it's not pleasant to make that call, but I'll give really big props to LMP2 there. That was the right call.
That avoided a huge mess. Yep, I agree 100%. Tough call, but right thing to do. Unfortunate for him because he just got absolutely destroyed from the back end into the corner, but it is what it is. That's racing. A little bit of bad luck here, and again, the last 30 minutes just consistently been a little bit hectic. I feel like every 5 minutes we're seeing another issue where somebody's losing some body parts.
So, 4th and 5th, still packed up with LMP2s. You got 6th and 7th as well, same story with Tri-State Racing and VRG Sport. Further down the pack, the GT Pro battle for the top 3 still hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, they have still been within a second, but they have not been able to really make anything happen. I wonder if we could see something happen with pit stops here, because we are seeing more pit stops now for the GT classes.
Yeah, the pit stops could throw a wrench into this thing. Some people could have saved fuel a little bit better, but for the GT Pro, you said nothing's changed, but a little bit has. Pereira was a little bit over a second behind our race leader in the GT Pro category not too long ago, and he's ran that gap back down. He's back to the back bumper of the 44, and Soul is held onto the back bumper of the 151 and ran him all the way back to the race leader as well. So all three of the top 3 in GT Pro back together once again, as we see, man, a heavy battle between a couple LMP2s, a trio of LMP2s, I should say. Vice Motorsports, GSC, FRS.
I'm impressed.
All fighting for that third place spot.
You can pick out the LMP2s a little bit better now.
Well, I saw the blue. Sometimes I can get it with the blue, but if I see a it's whenever I see a blue GTP, I get confused.
Look, it's a blue
That's
GT
my kryptonite.
Pro.
Blue GTPs are my kryptonite. Look, I need to just sit at a computer screen and just look at both of them and memorize them. I haven't done it. Whenever they're going by on track, I just can't think about it. I just see race cars going fast and I'm mesmerized.
Honestly, I feel
taking the time to sit and look at them stationary.
GSC, Denise Denisio tried to run to the back of Orlando Campos still, and side by side into turn number 3. Campos trying to hang on from Denisio. Denisio to the inside. Contact. Pushed out wide, and around will go. GSC spins him in the middle of the pack. That's going to end the battle for second.
Vice gets away clean.
Oh, look.
Unfortunately, GSC gets turned around. Couldn't tell if I saw a little bit of damage on the left front. That's a sketchy spot to be stuck sideways in. Yeah. Honestly, did as good of a job as he could have. I know
And then while that was going on, Ronald Gross had this moment out of pit road, literally out of pit road, spun the car. It's easy.
Couldn't tell you how many times I've done that. I don't even run road courses, but I come out of there. I'm telling you, I run, for whatever reason, I run practices at this racetrack in whatever cars every time. That's exactly what I do. So I feel gross.
For Sebring, there's a huge bump coming out of pit road, and you're on an off-camera part of the corner on an uneven, bumpy surface. That's a very understandable mistake to make. If anybody has told you they have not made that mistake,
everything is stacked against you.
They are lying. Everybody has made that mistake at this racetrack.
Cold tires coming out of pit road. I mean, just nothing you can really do in that situation. I mean, you can, I guess, prevent it from happening by getting out of the throttle a little bit more, right? So all you can do is be a little bit more proactive about it and understand it could happen going into it. But, you know, you get into the moment, you want to get in the race car and go. Maybe you just made a driver's change and you're just super excited, ready to get after it. Maybe you're a little nervous and you just press that gas pedal a little bit too hard before you get down there, and that's all it takes, especially on those cold tires, man. Cold tires can do you in.
Dionisio will take it to pit road after being turned in the battle for second in LMP2. Might be trying to go for a pit strategy here to see if he can make something happen out of a bad situation. And in fact, is he driving through? That's a drive. He's driving straight through. What do you make of that one? Not
I guess we don't get notified whenever they get a drive-through penalty.
Penalties are not common to see during a race, unless for a caution / restart procedure.
Yeah, I don't know what he could have done. I don't know what the heck he could have done. I don't know. That confuses me. I guess he got a penalty for the accident.
It couldn't have been for that. They do all of the penalties post-race.
That would have been a really quick call. I don't.
For incidents that get reported. The only things they do in race is stuff like restart violations and pit road violations.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just a racing incident. So I don't know. I'm at a loss for that one. Maybe he missed his pit box. That's the only thing I can think of. I feel like that's more likely at this point than a penalty, because I don't think he did anything to get a penalty.
We'll do some digging and we'll see. May it be as simple as a missed pit stall. It's happened before. And you look to Banfield and Sherrard having a close moment. Christian Sherrard for a tri-state trying to fight Alexander Banfield for VRG Sport just up the road and behind. They were just getting around one of the Full Send Racing GT Am cars. Banfield going to hang on for the top 5 for now, with Sherrard hot on his heels trying to chase him down.
I should point out, I'm sorry, you do get a drive-through for every 25X, or you get a penalty. So
right, of course.
I imagine, yeah. So I imagine he, whenever they got spun there, they probably hit the 25X limit. Yeah, I don't know why I had an oversight of that. I imagine getting a 25X would be relatively easy in a 12-hour race around Sebring, though. I mean, goodness gracious, I'd have at least a handful of drive-throughs by the end of this thing.
For my oversight is I've been awake since 4:30 in the morning. So that's my excuse. What's yours? I had to prepare for this race.
Not a good excuse.
I'm the one that's here for all 12 hours.
Not a good excuse.
What do you mean, nuh-uh? Hey,
yeah,
listen,
but you
don't call me out like that.
You signed up for it, so you can't
don't
make
call
an
me
excuse,
out like that.
Because it's not like it's an unforeseen circumstance.
Okay.
It's not unforeseen. It's not unforeseen. You knew.
I partially planned for this.
You planned for this.
I woke up an hour too early because I forgot daylight savings has not happened yet in Europe, where this series is based. So I woke up an hour earlier than I had to.
You want to know how prepared I bet you were?
No,
I bet that you have it set to pre-order a pizza here tonight.
Yesterday instead.
To be delivered to you. Oh.
Yes, I did. I did pre-plan.
Oh. So, but still, you pre-planned.
Yeah, that's why I had to message you to say, hey, by the way, don't turn up until this time.
Exactly.
Instead,
so I
got it wrong. Battle's on for the GT Pro lead. J-Van McPella to the inside of Pereira, and coming to the pits, Pereira takes the lead.
I guess that's as good of time as any. Pereira gets to the outside. Looks like he's going to be able to challenge for the race lead. See you down pit road.
Ooh.
Don't really give him the satisfaction of overtaking you on the racetrack.
Let's see.
So you look at an incident coming through. Little hip check. LMP2, little slide. Just stop that thing down on the inside. No harm, no foul. Just lost a little bit of time. Shouldn't be too big of a problem.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the endurance races. You can get away with the little things like that, right? You can have a couple of those little touches with a little slide. Oh, you spin out here, but you got some runoff there, so you're okay. Especially with this league, because we've got cautions. You know, you can have a little bit of tiny errors. You just can't have a big one, and you can't have a bunch of tiny errors.
There's a couple cars that have had both.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially in the last 40 minutes. I'm happy that I've gotten to see most of the craziness.
Something about what you did getting in here.
I'm so pleased that I've gotten to look, I'll take it. Hey, come watch my league race tomorrow night and see if I caused the chaos, and we'll see if it's my fault. If you actually come in there, I might just
Peter Miranda
intentionally wrecking everybody.
With Van Mepella. This is for 4th place in your GT Pro battle, as this was the overtake, and that was fresh out of pit road. The 44 car tried to beat the 992 in a drag race to turn 3 and couldn't do it.
The 992 was the Daytona winner in the GT Pro category, getting around the 44 after their pit stop, holding up Meplin a little bit. And you got to think Meplin's furious about that. That's a spot that there's a good bit of clean road in front of him that he could make up time if he was in front of the 992. But now instead, his pace is capped unless he can get into some type of battle. So I kind of feel for him. I think it'll take him a couple laps to get those tires up to temperature to get him up to pace as we see the move down the inside. Maybe a little bit of contact on the apex, but gets the move done. A little bit of headlight flashing, maybe in disapproval of the move. Looking back at that battle, just kind of, like I said, feel for Meplin, because you look to make that pit stop to be able to get in clean air. You want to be able to cover off as many people as possible and find yourself a clean pocket. And he missed it by about half a second. I don't know why I emphasize pocket so heavily, by the way, but it's just one of those days, right? Chaos on every single word. You never know what syllable is going to be pronounced.
Battle for 4th between Vulture Motorsports and Digital Chicane. The 016 and the 80, 2 Ferraris that we saw exchanging hands and nearly coming together as well, mid-corner, as there's the Trading Paints racing machine, the overall race leader, ducking by one of the LMP2 cars as well. I believe that to be the LMP2 race leader. So 5.5 hours, less than that to go. Manuel Meyer will take over the race lead in GT Pro, as Marco Pereira will come into the pits. He will lose out to Vitor Miranda as well as J-Van Mepelin. And they will be in a battle, down to turn 3.
And here's the difference right here. If Meplin would have just cleared the 992 under the pit stop, he wouldn't have even had to have that fight. Luckily, he was able to hold off and keep the position over Pereira, but he wouldn't have even had to fight it if he could have won out over Miranda the time before. Now Pereira trying to get on the front foot, but is this Tranquilli off the racetrack down to the 69 and 6th place in the GT Pro. Still on the lead lap, 20 seconds behind the race leaders, losing a little bit more time as he just got in there a little bit too hot, too late, a little bit too far right. Skipped on the grass a little bit whenever he got on the brakes with the right side tires and spun that thing out just about. Able to hold on to it, keep it on the racetrack just about, and not lose too much time. But still a tough,
out of the wall.
Sketchy moment.
Ryan Kaprowski, the GTM race leader, is into the pits, and that will be one of the last cars we're waiting on to make a scheduled stop now. As here goes. Well, I thought DS Race would have a look at the inside of World of Sim Racing, opted against it. Battle for third in your GTP category has picked up a little bit, and then some as well. And they are catching a lot of lap traffic up the road. This is going to get interesting.
Yeah, Martinez trying to hold on from Espinada.
Oh,
Sorry, Espadina, I should say, but the 88 gets around him. Look at that power move around the outside. I mean, just stomped on the gas pedal around the outside, got to the throttle way quicker able to make the move around.
Not
and
a
get to
clean
third place.
pass, though.
Heck of
There
a
was
move
a
there,
little bit
coming
of
down to the 5 hour mark.
contact. But looking like well, it doesn't look like Martinez is too upset about that. Not even so much the headlight flash. I think he understands that's just kind of the nature of it around so much lap traffic. So they're going to keep on going here. 3.5 tenths and closing.
The headlight flash bothers me, but I get it in these things, man, because you make the slightest bit of contact in any of these vehicles in any of the categories, you're risking some pretty significant damage, right? I mean, these things are just made out of fiberglass. They are just fragile as heck. That made no sense, but you know what I meant. That didn't make any sense. Nolan, it's only been 45 minutes and I'm already going to Lulu.
I feel like the headlight flash is the equivalent of honking the horn in a race car.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is.
Just like in real life.
And there are people that just spam the heck out of that thing for nothing, And I'm telling you, man, it irritates the heck out of me. I'm probably gonna really hate it in rain. Just because I'm already gonna be so preoccupied with the rain, and then if I get flashed whenever I'm getting pelted. Well, no. I see that's different. That's different because there's no malice behind it. It's just a thing, right? Whenever I see headlights flashing, I know somebody has pressed a button. Like there's something in their mind that they're like, I'm letting this guy know about something. And if it's not to pass me because they're a faster class car, it frustrates me. Because I mean, there's probably some malice behind it, typically.
Bringing out the tinfoil hat, are we? First Lorenzo, now you.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't even remember.
Hey. What was he? What was he going on about?
It wasn't too long ago. I don't retain memory all that well. I'll let you know if I remember it, though. Something about cars or something like that. I don't know. We were talking about Formula E.
I mean, that would make sense considering we were watching a race. That would make sense.
We were talking about Formula E. I remember that.
I would kind of expect that. Okay. Well, that narrows it down a little bit, I suppose. Unfortunately, my Formula E knowledge is zilch.
It's got a big scrap here for third and fourth. This is the closest battle on the racetrack between any cars for a position in class right now. Is for the podium in GT Pro, and you can see one of those Cadillacs trying to work its way through along with one of the Delaras right behind, and here goes the world of sim racing. Oh, that's risky, 3 wide for the LMP2, and that will force Pereira to yield to Meppelin as they approached Cunningham Corner.
Yeah, a tough little moment, but everybody gets through clean. And I think a couple of the GT Pros are on differing fuel strategies in some way because the front two still haven't pitted, but I know Meppelin and Pereira have, so I'm a little confused. I don't know exactly which way is going to be the best way around, and obviously a caution at any point could throw a loop in that and really change up the strategies. So there's honestly no telling, but the 44 and 151 looking really sporty at this point. They've lost a little bit of ground to the 992, but they were on new tires, and I think that they're starting to come in a little bit. They're starting to find their own, so they are on heavier fuel at this point also. So maybe the 992 and the 84 may are just finding a little bit more pace on the lower fuel mode.
Jay Van Meppelin and Marco Pereira will continue to get out nose to tail. Eugene Meltzer just pitted from Go and Race. You see him back in the shot, just entering pit road. How long until this BMW gets fed up with sitting behind the Porsche and tries to make the lunge himself? Well, he had a peek there. He thought about it. I think decided better for it. We've got, just over 5 hours to go. So still marching into the second half of the race, but you see a little bit more of a yellowish hue starting to descend. The sun, I think, is starting to crest towards the horizon a bit.
Yeah, the sun's starting to go down a little bit, starting to get towards the nighttime, and that camera angle looking up towards the sky makes it look a little foggy in some areas as well. I got to point out the chances of rain are moving a little bit closer, and they're getting a little bit higher.
Covering pretty much the entire circuit now. It's only a few spots where the sky remains free of any blue. So right now, it's pretty safe to say that rain, perhaps not imminent, but definitely it's
gonna be here.
It's getting there for sure. Right.
The first chances are in 20 minutes, so I'm looking for it. And now, even whenever that happens, that's only 6% chance. 15 minutes later, it goes up to a 25, and it continues to skyrocket after that. But even that beginning chance, you know, if we get a couple sprinkles, a couple raindrops, we're not going to see any type of tire changes. They're still going to have almost peak grip, but we could just see a couple little extra mistakes in the braking zones, or maybe you're getting to the gas just a little bit too quick because you're starting to misjudge just how much moisture's on the racetrack. That's what you really got to start watching out for right at the beginning of the rain chances. And like I mentioned, we're about 18, 19 minutes away from that.
Continue. So let's take a quick rundown again of your official running order here in this race. Currently, Trading Paints Racing leads the way in the GTP with Stop and Go Racing 4 seconds back at the number 2 spot. DS Racing Esports is in third with Sim Racing in fourth. Mayor 6 Performance brings home the top 5 with Composite Performance in 6th, Fisher Motorsports 7th, Team Hardcore in 8th, Grizzly Motorsports, the last GTP running on the racetrack, in 9th, with DS Racing Esports Team, HAC Racing, and Bravo Stowe Shatton all down and out of the race. Austin, you've got the LMP2s.
Leading the LMP2 field, we've got Rising Panda Racing. Second place is going to be FRS Sim Sports with Vice Motorsport in third. Tri-State Racing's in fourth with VRG Sport in fifth. Tri-State Racing 321 in sixth with GSE Esports Racing VSCA LMP in seventh. In eighth is going to be Scours GT with Texas Speed Sim Racing White in ninth. Gallant Racing in 10th. Fisher Motorsport number 14 in 11th.
GT Pro will hold Fisher Motorsports
Garage
currently with the race
12th.
lead. DS Racing Esports team has picked up the number 2 spot with the sister Fisher Motorsports car running in third. World of Sim Racing is 7/10 of a second behind him in that battle for third in the GT Pro category. Texas Speed Sim Racing sits in 5th with North Sim Racing in 6th. Torque Fruit Racing is in 7th. Kinetic is in 8th with RPM 9th. Race for Cat Motorsports in 10th. And GSE Racing Esports, the lone Audi, once leading the race, now relegated to the last place in the GT Pro grid, 10 laps down.
Leading up the GT AM field, we've got Digital Chicane 93. Then in second place, we've got Screeching Moose Motorsports on their comeback train. Then in third, we've got Digital Chicane number 80. I remember seeing those three up front a lot at Daytona not too long ago. Look to be looking pretty similar on pace this time around. Fourth place is going to be Vulture Motorsports with Full Send Racing in 5th. Trading Paints Racing Red in 6th with Vulture Motorsports Plus in 7th. MSP number 34 is going to be 8th with Real Pixel Motorsport in 9th. And Majors Garage Fusion GTD rounds out the top 10 of the GTAM category. MMT Racing is going to be in 11th with Firestorm Motorsport number 29 in 12th. Off into S's Racing 13th. KC Racing 14th. Dangler Performance in 15th, and the MSP number 33 in 16th.
So that is it then. That is your full breakdown of the field so far. And we will, you know what, we'll actually get a very unique opportunity here. We will be able to, in fact, well, first off, just saw Coy Hasselo has had a problem as he spins off on the approach. Whoa, 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 whoa! Holy cow. Yeah, huge slide.
Holy cow.
Yeah, but not before hitting the
thank goodness for the runoff,
first.
just enough.
You're going to ride with him here. Nails the inside wall first. That's going to that's going to do it.
Yeah. That's heavy contact.
We get a chance. We get an opportunity we don't often get here, and it's to speak to one of the racers that one of the people that helps to organize this championship as a whole. Benjamin Fisher will be able to join us up here in the broadcast booth now. And, well, Benjamin, I know this has been an absolute massive undertaking for you guys with the VSCA crew. Kind of walk us through all the nuances and what had to be done to prepare for what's been by far one of the most unique races I think this series has ever had.
Oh, yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, where to begin? It's been a couple of crazy weeks, it feels like, ever since the new iRacing build and everything. Obviously, we're super excited about iRacing bringing out rain. I'm sure you guys have been talking about it. It's going to be interesting to see if we're going to get rain here. So a lot of preparation from an organizer's point of view went into that to prepare for rain, how to implement it. We wanted to make it a point that we don't just add rain just for the sake of having rain, but we wanted to make sure that it's implemented as well as possible and that it makes sense for the competitors, that it doesn't skew the competition, that it is fair for everybody, and that we also find the right balance between keeping it somewhat unpredictable, but also, not go, crazy with it. So it needs to be right, and I feel like we have found a pretty good balance between that. But yeah, it's been so many things to consider, and we appreciate all the members and the teams for their input as well that we have received. And
obviously,
so far we have received a lot of good feedback.
It is a mammoth undertaking to create such a huge championship like this one, 100% IMSA length style series, especially with such a massive field size as well. I mean, what do you have to go through when you're operating both as like a league head, a driver, all at the same time?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because some of the people probably don't know that, but I started out driving when we first created the series in 2022, and it didn't work. So I gave up driving because I understood, I need to focus on putting in the time here to make sure that we can establish the series. And like you sort of touched on, that it takes a lot. It's not just something that happens overnight. I think it's easy to not see how much work really goes into this behind the scenes. And on that, I really also want to give a shout out to Kyle Burney, whom I founded this league with. It would not have been possible without him. Yeah, this is the first year that I have been able to go back to driving, which personally speaking, it's super exciting for me. But the top priority always has been and will continue to be to give all the members and teams and competitors a chance to have a series that they find enjoyable and competitive. And one of the core principles that I want to touch on here real quick is we know that there is a bunch. There are a bunch of leagues out there. I know that there are series out there that are more established than ours and that have a broader footprint in the community than us. We're still relatively new, just in our third season right now. But one thing that we always felt very strongly about is there have been a bunch of pro level type of series out there with the teams competing on there that have pro level drivers on there, but we felt like there was still a market out there, and there was a demand for a series out there for the average ranked and amateur level driver and team. And so that is ultimately the reason why we created this series. And to answer your question, yeah, balancing driving and being a team manager and everything, plus the league head and everything, it's essentially a second full-time job. But this is a passion of mine, and if we can have people be happy to be in this series and buy in the concept that we offer,
before I let you get back to
that's
work here,
worth it for us.
Beyond what we've got so far here, obviously planned for 2024, what's in store for the future here for VSCA?
Yeah, so we, I think right now we have achieved a solid foundation. We had a bunch of changes in the first 2 seasons, and we know that we have really asked a lot of our members, and we have lost some teams over this because of how many changes there have been. And I know that this has been very taxing on teams and drivers. I don't even know how many different full cross yellow procedures we had last year alone. I think it might have been 3, maybe 4 different ones, different evolutions of it. So right now, for us, before we even think about making wholesale changes or making big, changes in general, we just want to solidify what we have built, and of course that also always starts with the teams and the drivers. So I think once we are showing now to the teams and the drivers that things don't keep changing every race, but that regulations stay intact and they can get used to it and just solidify things overall, then that's what we are focused on right now the most. Something that's a little bit further down the line, possibly for next year, is adding a second series. Well, it looks like somebody's off track there. So we're thinking about possibly adding a second series next year. We don't know any details yet, so this is too early to say. We're thinking about possibly adding a Michelin Pilot Challenge type of series with GT4, LMP3. We don't know the details yet, like I said, but that's something we have on our radar, so to say. Not just rain, but potentially a second series. Stay tuned for more.
Well, thank you, Ben, for taking the time out of your very busy day to talk to us up here in the booth. And we'll let you get back to work. Good luck out there when you get back out on track.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before I go, just a quick shout out to Twinbush USA. Thank you so much to our partners, JRT, everybody, for making this broadcast possible. And of course to you guys for the fantastic job you have been doing and that you keep on doing. It's absolutely amazing to have these race broadcasts by Green Flag TV. Thank you so much, guys.
That was Mr. Fisher, one of the main drivers and one of the main founders for the VSCA Sports Car Championship. And well, Austin, you saw a lot happen while we were talking to him as well, getting some insights on all the ins and outs. We saw a change for the lead in LMP2 that we caught on camera. We caught the GTP exchange for the lead. And we also saw right at the tail end, Dennis Denicio ended up going off the circuit of the LMP2 machine. This is what happened to him coming towards Big Ben, lucky not to go into the wall.
Are you going to go beer league on us and have them all wound up in a replay string for us?
We caught most of them on camera.
Is that the one? That's the only one. Okay, understandable. I'll take that. I'll cut you a little bit of slack.
Yeah.
You deserve it for working 12 hours, right? You've been up since 4:30, right? Poor baby. So we gotta cut you a little bit of slack. Whoa, what? Oh, you heard what?
Yeah, jokes, huh?
I think it was the wind. You might be hearing things. I really don't know.
Oh, well, perhaps. I mean,
you need to get your hearing checked.
I have a cold, so it feels like it. No.
You take sleeping medications that might be giving you voices in your head. I don't think I said anything.
It's a mystery. We'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
We'll figure
Battles
it out.
on. Will Pixel Motorsports. At the inside of Mayor CSP Performance, Ronald Gross picking off Ryan Steinhoff. And bit of an exchange there for 8th position on the racetrack. And just in time, there is one of the main LMP2 runners, Vice Motorsports, going to get around for the 4th position.
Yeah, that GTM battle is a little way off their race lead, but every position still counts in the grand scheme of things for those points at the end of the year for the championship. That battle for 8th coming 3 laps off the pace of Low in the 93. The race leader of the GTM category, but like I mentioned, every position matters. Looking at a couple that matter a lot in the GT Pro right now. 44 and the 151. Meplin and Pereira been nose to tail ever since they came out of pit road. They were nose to tail before they came down pit road. With how long the 992 and the 84 are going, I gotta imagine these guys must be on exact opposite strategies. The 2 leaders in the GT Pro compared to the two in third and fourth. I think that they're about as far off from strategy as they could be from each other in terms of pit stop timing. So I think it could be interesting coming down to the GT Pro field just to see how those two strategies kind of wind up being. Now a caution could throw that for a loop and even it out across the board for those four, but at this moment it's kind of winding itself up to be an interesting strategy battle.
It up to be a very interesting strategy battle indeed, but it might be an on-track battle before too long because Pereira is caught right to the back bumper of Fisher Motorsports, but is not going to look to make that pass. He is absolutely saving fuel. There is no clear sign that he's saving fuel than right there. He was literally bump drafting him down the straight.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely could have gone for the overtake and have been successful.
I just feel like they would be a little bit quicker with them not racing each other, but they've been slowly falling off of Mayer and Miranda up in the first two positions in the GT Pro category. So I'm a little surprised to see these two guys struggling. I suppose they could be. They might be stretching it a little bit longer. Maybe they're the ones on the less optimal strategy, so they're having to stretch out one of these runs a little bit.
So many possibilities and a lot of time yet to discuss them all further on down the line. We are going to take ourselves another step back here with 5 hours, less than 5 hours to go on Green Flag TV. You're watching the VSCA Sports Car Championships, 12 hours of Sebring. We'll be back in a minute. You won't miss a second. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, where we are still working green flag conditions here this afternoon in the 12 Hours of Sebring for the VSCA Sports Car Championship of their third season of competition. Two drivers have had incidents while we were under break, one of those being Ryan Steinhoff. He caught the tail end of it. This is coming through Sunset Bend, and possibly help from a Cadillac GTP. Sure enough, a little bit of contact. Spins 34 around. That was just Steinhoff pushing a bit too wide. Lazy spin and gets that ship righted. Then Josh Goen into the final corner, tags the GT Pro Audi, and that spins him around, and he is going to get drilled by one of the Cadillac GTPs, and that knocks the Goen Racing machine out of the race. So Goen Racing will not be going for a hat trick here tonight. That's a shame. 2 wins. Yeah.
The Audi could have been a lot kinder in that scenario. He was coming down pit road and committed to the inside, even though he had a car get there, man. And even though he got the car to his inside, he just kept coming to pit road and committed and just completely junked the Goen Racing machine. I mean, if I was the driver, if I was anybody on that Goen racing team, I'd be livid right now.
The one silver lining is they have points to burn. They have, in fact, let's pull up the points standings here for the LMP2 field. They won, remember, the race last month at Long Beach as well, going back to back. So they have well over 100 points. We're talking 170 points is the gap between them and VRG Sport in just 2 races. They have the points to burn. Ooh. That's the silver lining here, is they have the opportunity to recover from this. And the best part, VRG Sport has had a horrible time today. They are several laps down. So Goen Racing right now is not under threat of losing the points lead, but they're going to have to hope they don't have another race like this again going forward.
Well, and you mentioned
VRG Sport.
who was the one that you mentioned that was having a bad time in the LMP2? VRS? VRG, yeah, sorry, VRG. VRG, they're 5th, but also the other one, Fisher Motorsports tied with them, and they're running worse than Goen are right now. So even better news for Goen at this point, with both of their title contender rivals up at the top in the top 3 spots having problems with them. So great point. They're looking still pretty well in the Drivers' Championships. Going to lose points to VRG, of course, unless VRG has an issue, but I feel like that's rather decent damage mitigation.
My question right now in this pack lies with Screeching Moose Motorsports. We've talked a lot about how they've got a lot of pace in the GTM field. And remember, they won at Daytona by a pretty big margin. They won at Long Beach. It was a bit of a shock win, but they did win at Long Beach in a lot of late race chaos. And they were hopeful they could go for the hat trick, right? They've won the longest race and the shortest race. They're currently running 6.8 seconds behind race leader Kyle Lowe in the Digital Chicane Ferrari. Now this car, Austin, was spun on turn 1, lap 1, and then got into one of the other Digital Chicane Ferraris, and they both junked it coming down the Cunningham Straight from Tower Turn. Ever since it's bounced back up to 2nd, do we think this car
he's back within 7
seconds?
Holy cow. If they've recovered this well so far, I'm saying yes. I mean, that's an incredible recovery to this point. I mean, we still have 4 hours and 45 minutes, and they have solidified themselves back among the front runners, right? Like that's super impressive. Now they got lucky that it happened so early, but they've had a major issue early in the race, set themselves up nicely through the early portion. Recovery-wise, to get themselves to this point to where they're running 2nd, 7 seconds off of the race leader. I think that they're in as
right
good
now,
of a position as anybody else.
You can actually see the sector times. The lap times. Lowe has been pretty consistently slower than the Screeching Moose Motorsports car this last little while, but there is some time being lost here with having to let some of this lead lap traffic through. So it's ebbing. It's a constantly ebbing and flowing gap, one that we'll keep a close eye on. Alessio Tranquilli has spun the 69 car around, and whoa, a huge tank slapper, and then that car disappeared before slamming into the barriers and disappearing again. Hardware failure, you reckon? or it just got loose, and the connection is just a coincidence.
That
It's easy
I
to
think
do.
that
It's the fastest,
connection
one of
was
the
just a
fastest corners on
coincidence.
the
I think he
circuit.
just
Definitely
might have just
one of
lost
the
that thing.
toughest corners on the circuit with no clear apex or braking markers.
Already saw somebody have an issue getting out of pit road in turn 1. Now we've seen turn 1 become a little bit of a killer on the actual corner, coming to a little bit under 5 hours to go. Not too surprising. I feel like just about every corner in this racetrack is a little bit dangerous. If you got a little bit of racing going on, you got a little bit of side by side, or everybody's under a blanket nose to tail. I just think that just about every corner around this racetrack tends itself to cars
You're
coming
going to
together.
have to repeat most of that if you were talking directly to me, because my dog freaked out in the background here, and I had to yank my headset off to shoo him out of the room. Because somebody just came knocking on the door, so so I missed. Huh?
They want to be a part of the race. They want to be a part of the race. Put them in
at this
VSCA.
moment running around outside.
Give them a little dog sim. Yeah, it'll
boy.
find out
Oh,
some
boy.
energy on them. It'll help you out. Oh boy. Selena Ward in 3rd place in the GTP, coming around the final corner. GTP field surprisingly spread out here among honestly, the entire field. The entire GTP field is kind of scattered at this point. A minute separates the top 3, and then a little bit more to 4th, and then everybody 5th on back's a lap down, or further. I mean, only 5th is a lap down. Everybody else further on back is 2, 5, 6, 7. It's a little scattered.
Yeah, it's a
up at
good
the
bit
front.
scattered up at the head of the field, and I mean that's been pretty much the norm for a good chunk of these classes so far. I mean, even in LMP2, I mean, Remy Loesch has pulled clear by 56 seconds. Now, granted, Loesch is way off cycle as well, usually pitting about 5 laps prior to everyone else, and is extremely off cycle right now. So I believe Tri-State Racing remains as the net race leader, but Alvaro Martinez is into pit road for a scheduled service. This is your overall race leader for the World of Sim Racing crew. This should, I think, put stop and go back to the race lead.
And this makes a little bit more sense. I was surprised to see it so shattered up at the front, but I imagine that was more because Martinez just hadn't pitted yet. But now coming down pit road, probably going to give up that race lead, and all of a sudden everybody in the top 4 are going to be back under a blanket. And Bernie also, the MSP number 3, they not too long ago they had that connection issue, right? And I think that they've found themselves back. They're on the lead lap currently, but I imagine with that connection issue, they're off cycle as well. So currently, they're on the lead lap. I imagine they're just hoping for a caution while they're on the lead lap relative to the GTP leader. So for the MSP number 3,
for sure
I imagine they're probably hoping for a caution at this
to
point.
get themselves back on cycle with everybody else. That would be absolutely critical for their race right now if they could get that. So the MSP number 3 will continue to, in the meantime, just click off lap cars and make spots up as we go. Checking in on the battle for what we think is the net race lead for LMP2, Tri-State Racing and Vice Racing. Getting a bit closer, and Tri-State going defensive towards Sunset Bend, crossing back over to the left side of the track as Vice looking to hang this one in the long way around. It's a multi-apex 180 corner, and Vice can't get the hammer down enough. Tri-State hangs on for another lap.
Yeah, you're never going to get that outside line to work starting from that far back, coming around turn number 17, but Vice tried to make it work. Cam Post in the 91, but just wasn't quite able to do it. Slotted back in line, used that draft down the front straightaway. Got a good run out of turn number 1. Now coming out of turn 3. Puts the 123 onto a defensive line, that Tri-State Racing machine. But still not quite able to do much through the first sector of the racetrack. Coming around 4 and 5. Down into the flat section of 6. then into the straightaway, under the bridge, down into 7. A little bit of separation between the two now
A
for
little bit
second.
of separation, but not too much of it. And then Vice Motorsport and Sam Vaughn have not let Orlando Campos get to them, but Campos has not let Vaughn get away from him either. So these are two drivers that are right now, we're effectively looking at unstoppable force meets immovable object. And that is the big problem for Vice right now, is because they are going up against that immovable object. Tri-State Racing is not going to give this up without a fight. They have got a point to prove that they are capable of becoming title contenders, and they entered this race 4th in the points, and they are definitely looking to try to take that fight, especially now that Goen is out of the race.
Yeah, it could be a big moment for them running in that second place position to make up a lot of points. Doing a good job on the defensive right now to Vice Motorsport, but I feel like Vice is a little bit quicker, right? Campos looks a little bit quicker than Vaughn over the course of the last lap. Through all the twisty turny bits through the center sections of the racetrack, it was right up on his back bumper, even through the dirty air, able to pull right up to the back bumper of the 123, get to the back straightaway, and it separates out just a little bit, then through the draft on the front straightaway as well. Starting to close in a little bit more, and I expect the 91 to continue pressuring the 123.
Back
just
as well
seems to be a little bit quicker
GT
this
Pro,
point.
you've got J. Van Meppelen still trying to keep Marco Pereira at bay as well, as Pereira looking a bit more intense here as he's closing to that back bumper now of the 44 car. So BMW versus Porsche, let the battle once again recommence as second and third picking up and started to close in with pace. Could we see World of Sim Racing finally usurp the Fisher Motorsports car, or is he going to continue to save that gas?
Just the body language in his race car looks like he is super, super content. Like he'll duck out just a little bit at the end of the straightaway, and then as soon as they get close to the braking zone, it seems he rolls out of the throttle and just breaks in a nice straight line right behind his competitor in Fisher Motorsport. I just feel like they're content at this point. I think we're in fuel conservation mode.
It's important to note as well, right? The fact
I think
that
we're just trying
when
to cut out
these
a pit
drivers
stop.
are making these little looks to the outside, he's not looking for a pass down the straightaway, right? That little bit of a more casual look, that's not a look for a pass. That's just to cite your own braking point, so you're not caught off guard by the car just slamming the brakes in front of you. Because he wouldn't be able to see his own braking marker being that close to the rear wing of the 44. So he just makes that little bit of a duck out just to get a little bit of an extra foot or two of vision in front, see what's coming up, so that way he can be a bit more prepared for it, so he doesn't run over his opponent.
Absolutely. There's just nothing aggressive about the movement, right? Like, you can tell a big difference between an aggressive move to the inside and peaking to try to get an advantage into a corner than a more casual find in a braking zone. And that's what we've been seeing from the second place GT Pro runner third place of Pereira, second place in that battle. He was fighting with Mepplen. Keep forgetting that Mayer is a little ways away in front of them in the lead of the GT Pro category, 10, 11 seconds ahead. But Mepplen running in that second place, still holding on from Pereira in the 151. That battle for second LMP2 still holding strong as well. Tri-State still holding on to it from the 91, but Campos, like I mentioned,
that look
putting some pressure on Tri-State Racing, maybe trying to put them off in the braking zone.
You can have a pass down into the hairpin. That's a pass where you're trying to look for a way through, not citing your braking point. So I think you can tell right now that Orlando Campos is not content sitting behind Sam Vaughn, and he is trying to find a way through.
Yeah, and he's not content because you can tell he's faster, man. I mean, being able to hold onto the back bumper for this long on a road course and a tight road course like Sebring, it's a difficult thing to do. And he gets side by side multiple times. Now this time going 3 wide to be able to make the pass with a slower car, the GT Am car getting in the way. Great job from Vice Motorsport. Campos in the 91, setting the pick, getting the position. He's been quicker. He finally found his spot and was able to get the move done.
Austin, I have just been gifted a screenshot in our broadcast internal chat from Kyle Burney. Rain is on the radar. It is no longer a matter of if, it is a matter of when.
It's there. It's there. It's peaking. It's peaking in. We've got 4.5 hours left. I'm just doing some math, looking at my little sheet here. It's not going to be raining at the finish. The last hour is going to be dry.
Track takes a while to dry, remember.
Yes.
It doesn't have to rain for a track to still be wet.
That's a good question. It's a really with this many cars, cars running on it, I think it's going to a dry line is going to form very quickly.
They don't have the sun to beat down on them to evaporate the water.
That's true. That's true. And it's only 72 degrees in the sky temp, so it's not like it's super hot, like it'll dry the track very quick. So that's a fair point. I mean, we're all new to this, right? That's the excitement about it, is I really don't know. Being able to talk about this and being in the unknown is what makes this so fascinating and makes it such a good story. I love that iRacing brings us these big updates and new challenges every once in a while, and I know they put a lot of work into this. I've given it a go closer to the release date. I tried it out a little bit. Man, I was pleasantly surprised. I really couldn't believe how well done it was. So I can't wait to see it in a more professional-esque level of a race, being the VSCA Sports Car Championship. I think it's going to be fantastic to see these guys wheel it around in the wet at Sebring, of all places. I think it's going to be fantastic, and we're looking at
wish I could
about
flash
12
this
minutes away from
screenshot
potential
up on
rain.
Screen for you guys, but there's no way I could do it while making it look clean. So you'll have to imagine it for yourself. But the rain is there, and it's not heavy rain, mind you. It is not. We're not talking heavy rain. It is light rain, so scattered showers, but it is rain nonetheless. And even scattered showers can still impact cars that are so reliant on mechanical grip, like the GTP category, right? The GTP categories really rely on having a very mechanically clean racetrack. The rain takes that away.
And that's still just the first little band. It's going to get heavier over the course of 30 minutes. So in about 10 minutes time, we're going to see that first band come through. And then over the course of the next 30, it's just going to get heavier and heavier and heavier, and a higher chance of having it all around the racetrack. So I think we're going to get some, I don't know if we're going to get to wet tire level. We might see some people make the switch, but it might end up being light enough to keep the slicks on. That's another point. There's going to be so much strategy added to this race off of this rain cycle. You've got to make sure that you hit the rain, the changeover point to the wets at the perfect spot in your pit cycle. You don't want to just come out on slicks and then 5 laps later have to pit for wets. That would be terrible, terrible for your race. So you've got to somehow time it perfect. And it's just impossible to do that. And we're really finding out how to do it for the first time here tonight.
So this battle for second continues on. And then, of course, Fisher Motorsports and World of Sim Racing in second and third. This is for the lead in your GT Pro category. So Meppelin and Pereira still in their own little dogfight. But again, it's hard to call it a fight when one of these drivers isn't fighting. He's just chilling. I mean, technically by definition they are fighting, but I mean he's not really trying to make any look. Oh, right there, you just saw the headlights did an extra flick on. So the light level is fading enough that these drivers have just turned on the headlights.
It's getting to that point, and the rain's coming at the same time. We're hitting darkness and potential rain at the exact same time. That's scary. I'm nervous, man. We were talking about bringing chaos. If we have nighttime and rain hit at the same time, and it's a rather substantial amount of rain, that's gonna be pretty crazy, man. I can't wait for the end of this thing. And I'm just looking at the radar. I'm just watching it. I'm just looking at this blue band coming in, and it's light rain. It's light. This first little band's light. I'm waiting to see if it gets any heavier behind it, but just seeing this coming in, I know it's going to get even more hectic, even more chaotic. These battles are going to become even crazier as people are going to be making mistakes.
4.5 hours left to go. Once again, want to remind everybody that if you want to keep your road course actions needs satiated after today's race. Be sure to tune in tomorrow on either Greenflight TV or ESTV to their YouTube or Twitch channels for the Classic IndyCar Series and the Pavement Recycling Systems Season Classic for the season opener Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, Texas. And of course, that will be rebroadcasted on all of ESTV's global distribution partners the week after as well. Bound to be an absolutely phenomenal show. Austin will be back in the booth with me bright and early on Sunday morning / afternoon, and we'll bring you all the action from 60 laps around COTA. So more and more racing coming up. It's a huge weekend for us here on Greenflight TV. But first and foremost, you still have quite the race that we have to finish up here. Matthew Orvech still in the lead in GTM. Taylor Parsons back into the car for Screeching Moose Motorsports.
Got another round of pit stops in the GTM category with that number 5 coming down pit road. Like you mentioned, Parsons getting behind the wheel. They're making up really good time. They were actually catching Orvex relatively quickly. I mean, we last talked about them. They were 8-9 seconds behind. I looked at them a couple laps ago, and they were, I think, 4. So they had half that. Half that, just a handful of laps. So they were making good time in that 5. I know that they've got the speed in that thing to win it, even after, like you mentioned, early damage. But I think that they've got a really good opportunity, as good of an opportunity as the rest of the GTM field still in the lead lap. So look at this number 5
Parsons
to
will lose out the
potentially
third
complete the
position
hat
to
trick
Hasselo as they swing out of pit road, and that is the third place runner now, Coy Hasselo for Full Send Racing. That is now right in front of Taylor Parsons, so some more ground to make up there. The number 94 Mercedes will remain in lockstep, and then Jay Van Meppelen still has the race lead. Pereira in second for GT Pro. No changes so far in your battle for in your battle for the GT Pro race lead.
Yeah, and I'm hesitant to think we're going to see anything change in this battle. It seems like these two are content with working with each other. I just see nothing that looks like any sort of aggression out of the 151. He looks so content to just ride in second place and work with the 44. And, you know, they're making good time. They're working well together and stretching their fuel to the limit. And like I was talking about earlier with the rain coming, and you're wanting to make sure you time the wet weather changeover, or the wet weather tire changeover correctly. You got to have the right amount of fuel in it to be able to time that correctly. So I think that these guys are just playing it safe, being smart, and working together. But it's a little weird watching it from the broadcast booth because they've been so close to each other for the last hour.
Racing's Mercedes
has
had it off on the racetrack. This is approaching the Le Mans curve with Screeching Moose Motorsports just behind, and just whoa! Look out as just spinning off the racetrack, and Parsons having a heck of a moment there, trying to avoid Hasselo. Take a ride on board. Quick adjustment to the left, gets back on course, and they go off on their way.
Yeah, heck of a job not getting involved in that. That's a tough one for a guy that just got into the race car. You know, you just buckle in, you just get out there, you're on cold tires. I think it was his first lap out, maybe second, and all of a sudden you've got a slow, lazy spinner right in front of you. It's a tough situation to be in, but Parsons handled that like a pro, like a champ. That's what you expect from the team that's won the first 2 races in the GTM category. So credit to him for missing that one, keeping that team alive here in the middle portion of this race as we see Martin going off in the number 4 GTP, 7th place currently, 5 laps behind the race leader. A little bit of a moment, not too bad though. Just going to lose a little bit of time. And being 5 laps behind the race lead.
Pro lead will exchange hands, but not because of a battle. It is because Jay Van Meppelen will take it to pit road, and we will see where Marco Pereira will look to put himself immediately after, as this battle will look set to continue on. So the 155 and the 144 will be the next 2 drivers we're going to be keeping our eyes out for when this car comes down to pit road for the BMW.
We're going to get to have a good idea of how much fuel he saved, right? He's been stuck behind the 44 for the entirety of that run. how many more laps can that 151 stay out? Can he turn that into an advantage over the 44? Can he make it worth it sitting behind him, not challenging and pulling away and building a gap? Can he make it worth it to sacrifice that potential time gain for a shorter pit stop or for potentially nailing the wet weather tire changeover later in the race if we get to that point? So going to be a big moment here. We just got to pay attention to how long Pereira stays out on the racetrack here in this
You saw the
stint.
windshield wiper going for a second. That is not because of rain. That is because of debris that can get kicked up and kind of clogs up the windshields of these cars. It's basically the road course version of a windshield tear-off on the stock car side of things. So that's just automated to happen every now and again. I got excited when I saw that earlier in the race, Austin, because there had just been a big shadow that loomed over, and I thought the rain had come about 6 hours ago. Not quite. I got fooled. Yeah, I got fooled.
Needed to check the radar. You needed to check the radar first, buddy.
I did.
Well, you got teased earlier, but hopefully it's looking like it's at least
We're
going
not
to
talking
happen. I don't
months,
think it's going to be any type of decent-sized storm. I think it's going to be pretty minor. Yeah, it's pretty minor, right? But if it's going to be to that point where you're thinking, should I even change to the wets? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we see some split decisions. See if we see some guys going to the wet and see if it does get heavy. I'm looking at it. It's breaking up in certain areas and it's not particularly heavy. So I'm looking at it like this is going to be a slick race all the way through. But given that fact, I still think that these cars, with how aerodynamically sensitive they are and how much it's rooted to the downforce in the racetrack, I think that the loss of grip level of even just having a little bit of rain on the racetrack with slick tires is going to hurt these things a lot.
Zachary Lovelace is into the pits, and Pereira is showing to be... I'm not sure what on earth has just happened here. Lovelace is in the pits, but showing that apparently somehow passed him on the track. Now, this is... I'm going to look back at this because I'm not 100% sure. So, okay, so the 32 car stopped in the pits right on the timing line, so that is why Lovelace was showing to be in the GT Pro race lead. That was not accurate. Now it's in where he's actually is, which is in the 5th spot. Pereira, when Lovelace stopped on the timing line, it messed up the timing system for a moment, so it scored him as being somewhere he wasn't because he had crossed it twice because they just went for a driver change. Still waiting to see where Pereira will come down into pit road at, and it's looking to Austin like it's going to be at least 3-ish laps or so. Because he's been out there for a while longer now than the Fisher Motorsports car.
This is massive. And this shows why he sat behind him for so long. I mean, we're sitting here like, man, this is... Wow, he's staying out again. Holy cow. We're sitting here like, man, this is taking forever. I can't believe he's not challenging him at least a little bit, not putting any type of pressure on him. And it's showing to pay off in the sense that he can just stay out on the racetrack lap after lap after lap after.
And the battle for third
the 44 had to come down pit road and make a driver change.
Digital Chicane and Trading Paints Racing going at it. They've exchanged blows once already in the last 10 minutes. And they're going to go at it again as Digital Chicane and Orvech taking the 3rd spot back. Orvech is through, put Tyler Tucker down to 4th. Now we'll see if Tucker can get back on the offense.
Gonna want to challenge him right back. Not gonna be able to do it as a faster car comes through. Thought it was gonna be a little bit of a nervy moment there with the GTM coming up. Orvex looking to use all of the racetrack, but he left enough room there. And we'll take that position away from Tucker. Trying to drive away. Looking a little bit sportier than Tucker at this point.
Excuse you, just a little sportier?
Excuse me.
Oh, well.
I don't...
We'll see. I mean,
just make
right
that pit
now,
stop, so makes sense.
Digital Chicane is... Oh, well, I guess you are correct. They are on different pit cycles, so... Orvech gets through, no surprise, and sure enough, Tucker immediately into pit road right after, so... You see the point of fighting that one out too hard. Here is Fisher Motorsports. Now is a different car. up the gearbox, and that is the DS Racing Esports team number 992, your Daytona 24 winner, trying to charge for a runner-up spot.
Yeah, and this will end up being the race for the race lead after Pereira comes down pit road. We know that Sol and Carrera are on a different strategy than Pereira and Fisher. And we don't know, we have no idea which one's the better strategy at this point. So really just paying attention to both of those battles as if they're the battle for the GT Pro win, because either one of them could come down to being the one that matters. So Sol here with Carrera, battling for P2 on the racetrack currently, but this could technically be a battle for the race win between these two as the 992 closes in on the back bumper of the 84.
Stop and Go Racing has been in pretty big control from the get-go of this race ever since the last restart, but Selena Ward in Trading Pace Racing has very slowly been chipping away at this car, and we could see a potential move here for the lead before too long. I mean, take a look at Ward. Last time alone, 2.3 seconds gain. That's no small feat. Looking like Kofoid was starting to extend that gap out, but now this gap down to 1.2 seconds. Kofoid might be in trouble here.
Yeah, Selena Ward trying to right the wrong that happened the last time that this series was in Florida a couple months ago, where they got passed in the last couple laps to lose the Daytona 24. Trying to right it this time in the Sebring 12, running up on the back of the 278 of Kofoid, who's been looking good in the race lead for the last handful of laps. But like you mentioned, Selena Ward has been running him down lap after lap, and she's trying to put him under pressure. I mean, she's getting into that range where he's gotta know that she's coming. She is there. She is ready to put him under an immense amount of pressure here at any time for him to make a mistake as he brushes the inside wall through turn one. So you know that he's going for every little bit of it out on the racetrack, trying to build that gap back out. But Selena Ward just seems to be a little bit quicker at this point. Now through the first sector, Kofoid builds that gap back out just a little bit more. But Selena Ward, over the last couple laps, has been running him down.
I don't think it is. Pereira into pit road. This is pretty big news as Pereira will be into the pits. Now watch that 44 car of Fisher, bottom right of your screen. Fisher in the number 44 machine, currently working out towards the tower turn, while the 151 is currently stopped on the front straightaway, and they're going to be putting Adrian Sobila into the car for the first time all race long. We'll look back to Benjamin Fisher working his way around the racetrack, now highlighted in green. The faded circle, that's the 151 World of Sim Racing machine that is on the front stretch. And these two cars were in a direct battle with one another when we last saw them on the racetrack. So we'll see if Fisher can beat Subila out of pit road.
Fisher coming down the back straightaway, just moments away from figuring out exactly where these two are going to cycle out. Fisher had been running, or sorry, the 44 had been running lap after lap in front of the 151 as the 151 saved fuel. Was able to run that stint out a handful of more laps over the 44. Now the 44 coming around the final corner as the 151 is finishing up their pit stop and starting to roll down pit lane.
No.
Did they come out the same way that they came in? Or, well, I guess not. That answers the question. The 151 has ran, I guess, amazing lap times ever since the pit stop from the 44, because they have jumped him and jumped him by 5 seconds. I mean, it wasn't a race beforehand because they were just relaxing behind him and not pushing and saving fuel. It's not a race now because they jumped him by 5 seconds.
Has had
what in the world?
Big problem, colliding with Fisher Motorsports machine, and then hopping up and over the grass, going straight on and nosing it hard into the barriers. Big crash for the.
Well, that's less than ideal there for the 21. Already 35 laps off the race
big
pace.
Crash!
It's only
Crash
11
for Drake. The third place LMP2 runner has just slammed into the pit wall.
My goodness. That's the second pit road entrance crash we've seen in the last 30 minutes.
Where was the first one?
Yes.
That was almost 2 hours ago.
Somebody got stuck in the pit entry. I forgot who it was. I think it was an LMP2
Yeah,
or GTP.
You came in with 6.
No, well, I haven't even been in the booth for 2 hours.
To go, and we're almost at 4 hours to go.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, so it's been an hour and 45 minutes. I swear the other one happened within the last half hour. I swear.
You're having a crisis over there.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn it was recent. Not the most recent, but a little bit.
We're
Maybe.
trying to
Look,
track
I've lost
what
my
happened
mind
to
already.
Anthony Dring here. It's coming through Sunset
rain
Bend
isn't even here
alongside
yet.
Tri-State. Contact and hard into the concrete wall. Somehow missed the VP pit speed sign. Nope. Not at all.
Oh, he couldn't turn either, so he couldn't. There's no way in heck he could get back to his pit box. Had to take the toe. That's tough, and that's just such a minor contact too. But it flung him in the wrong spot, right? Or they made contact in the wrong spot, where it was his front left to the rear right of the car in front of him. Staggered a little bit coming out of that corner. Just flung him right around as soon as they made contact. Tough break, because I just feel like that was so minor. And the damage was so
Sefdell now has had
major.
another problem. So Sefdell also having a pretty significant off as, well, catching one of the Screechy Motorsports, and well, just lost that one by himself. So no significant dramas there. So racing action will continue. 4 hours and 12 minutes on the docket. Want to once again, really quickly, shout out Twin Bush USA, your expert for automotive workshop equipment, located north of Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit them today or find them online at twinbush.com. Twin Bush, quality that convinces. We're going to take ourselves with a step back as we continue onwards through the VSCA Sports Car Championship with the 12 hours of Sebring. You won't miss a lap. We'll go riding on board with Bruno Carrera.